Welcome, everybody, to Rewatchers Council Snark here. And we didn't even have to wait that long. It initialized. Everything went swimmingly to start the program up. I hope everyone's having a good day. And I was having a good day. But now I'm having a great day, guys, because joining me to talk about Hush, one of the members in good standing around here, the council, Brendan Marr. Brendan, how you doing, pal?
I am excited for this one.
Safe to say this, if not famous, most famous episode, probably the second most famous episode of Buffy. That's for sure. Now, Hush, its original air date is December 14th, 1999. The last episode before Y2K, Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope, for the sake of the show here, that, society continues on, January 1st, 2000, and that the computers don't get all confused because no one decided to plug in 2000 or something like that. Do you remember all that hubbub
Yeah,
about
I do
Y2K?
remember it. I remember it.
Ridiculous. I gotta say though, when I was at a friend's place for it, and the fireworks are going off. I had to make sure that the lights were still on. They were. Everything was fine. Okay, moving on. Now, we covered the original air date. This was both written and directed by the guy who created the show. I guess he had been challenged here a bit, saying that the show was only good because of its dialogue, which isn't a bad thing for a show to be good about. He said his directing started to become by the numbers here. Well, this episode becomes the only one nominated for an Emmy for most outstanding writing. It lost to a pretty good episode of television, though. I was like, oh, come on. Like, usually it's like Star Wars lost to, what was it, Network at the Oscars,
Anyhow.
or Annie Hall. So there's always like this super famous movie or something like that loses to a movie or a show that's nowhere near as possible. This one, though, lost to In Excelsis Deo from The West Wing, which is one of their
Yeah,
most
that's
famous episodes of
a
television.
very good episode.
Yeah, and Aaron Sorkin. So yeah, okay, so yeah, you get it. It's fine. And they had a dialogue throughout the entire thing on that one. So there you go for outstanding writing. It was also nominated for outstanding cinematography in a single camera series, one of the most prestigious awards you can get. I have no idea who won that one. I only did so much looking back on this stuff, guys. Now, the number one movie at the time, Toy Story 2.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Story 2 will be the last one we cover here on in 99 for the Rewatchers Council. Number one song, still Smooth, guys.
Oh yeah,
You,
still
you,
is.
you Americans loved Smooth by Carlos Santana. Guy who
Indeed.
hadn't had a hit in how long. Anyways, the number one song in the UK, The Millennium Prayer by Sir Cliff Richard. I had no idea how this man was knighted. He was like, even his most popular songs. You're like, what? All right. Like We Don't Talk Anymore is, I think, probably his most famous song, at least his most famous song that I've ever heard. Anyways, don't get it, but congratulations to him. Got a number one hit near Christmas, not the Christmas number one. And that's a big difference. Number one song in Canada changed as well. Finally, The Reign of Terror. That was Mambo number 5 ends this week. Actually, it ended the week before because this is a couple weeks between episodes, guys. But we also missed the one single number 1 week by Smooth up in Canada. We missed that one, and you know what? That's about enough time. But 1 week for number one is about right when it comes to Smooth. The number one song at this point in Canada, Blue, Dabba Dee, Dabu Dow.
Oh, not that one.
Dabba Dabu Dow. Dabba Dee Bow. I can't do it. Anyways, iPhone 65. I think that was a hit in the UK, a number one hit in the UK earlier. Everyone remembered Blue and how terrible that video is. Anyways, DVD synopsis time. From out of a fairy tale comes a group of murderous creatures known as the Gentlemen. First, they steal everyone's voices, then they begin to collect human hearts.
Yeah.
Pretty condensed, but I guess it gets to the get it. Not the episode.
Yeah.
Looks like they only need 6 now. If you know what I mean. I just took one. Anyways, now for some reason they think that a mostly dialogue-free episode is going to be about communication. Which and if you don't think so, Professor Walsh spells it out for you right away. Communication and language aren't the same thing, and how thoughts and experience can be expressed without words. Brennan, I get it all the time
Yes.
from my wife. It's usually a look of anger or annoyance. I get those looks all the time. She doesn't have to say anything to me. I already know how she's feeling. You know what I mean? It's usually annoyance, by the way. She then has Buffy come up and lie down on the desk for some reason. Has Riley go up and join her. He asks, this is just an exercise, right? He tells her to be a good boy. Well, whatever. He tells Buffy if he kisses her, it'll make the sun come down.
Okay.
All right, I don't understand that. Even though when we find out what this whole thing is, I still don't understand it. He then kisses her in front of a full classroom. Had a nice big audience for their supposed first kiss here. And then we stop kissing. You see the class is empty and all the lights are off. He just says, see. So I guess that means the sun comes down, so he turns the lights off, I suppose. Now, she says, fortune favors the brave. Again, I don't understand why. That's probably what cost him the Emmy, if you ask me. Just her saying fortune favors the brave right here.
Yeah.
And she hears a little girl singing a nursery rhyme. An almost direct ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street, but I digress.
Yes, a little bit. Yeah.
Can't even shout, can't even cry. The gentlemen are coming by, looking in windows, knocking on doors. They need to take 7 and they might take yours. Can't call the mom, can't say a word. You're gonna die of screaming, but you won't be heard. It's not the best thing to sing to your kid or something like that. You know what I mean?
Creepy.
It's not terrific. Now, Buffy's going to notice that she's holding a wooden box. Make sure that they know they pan right into the thing. This probably means it's unimportant. Probably means don't worry about the box, guys. It has nothing to do with the episode. When Riley touches her, then she sees a scary face. Not the welcome face that Riley's been presenting of late. But she wakes up in class and then starts getting, the gears from Willow. Said there was minimal drool this time. But she had an intense dream. Riley wants to know all about it. He's that psych major or whatever. Willow leaves. She's going to go down to that Wicca group again. Going to give that Wicca group a chance. Brennan. Buffy lets patrolling slip to Riley. Oops. And then she covers it by saying, she's got the petroleum to do. Got a little petrol, as they'd say in the English Isles.
Petrol, right. Yes.
Yeah. Riley's got grading to do. Then they almost kiss. They almost have a sweet little first kiss here, but then Buffy asks the question, what papers he has to do, seeing how all they have left is the final. He discovers and say, no, there's just late papers he's got to do. So they're now going to head off separately. As she says, fortune favors the brave once again. It's like, okay, all right, we get it. She's a pretty brave girl when it comes to killing things, just not expressing feelings, Brennan, if you know what I mean. Well, okay, good. All right, now we see Giles talking to Buffy on the phone about that nursery rhyme. He once again validity, but promises to check. Has Buffy just said something to any of these guys and they took it at face value? Like, something's up with this? And like, oh, okay, we believe you 100% right away and we'll get to work on it. No, it never happens. They always have to question it. So he's going to ask Spike about the gentleman. And has he ever heard about them? Spike's like, nah, never heard about them. Then we get this thing about how Weetabix gives blood texture, Brennan. I figure most folks already know that from dipping their Weetabix in their blood before eating it. Also, how would you feel about being with some of the good folks at Weetabix, finding out a new way to spice up your blood in the morning? Crunch a little Weetabix in there. Anyways, Giles says if you want it, go get it, which means he must be free to come and go by now. I don't understand why he would just say, go get it yourself. Like, isn't he supposed to be partially captive in this place? Anyways, Spikes calls him a sissy for some reason because he won't go get his Weetabix. By the way, we aren't being paid by the good people at Weetabix, even though I've said it quite a few times. I believe that's an English breakfast cereal, Weetabix, if I remember right. Now, we see Xander again. Xander and Anya doing a little quarreling here. She wants him to say how much he means to her. He's having some trouble with it. You know, he's a pretty awkward guy when it comes to feelings towards women, I suppose. She continues at all this relationship inside with Giles in front of him and Spike. She accuses him of only wanting lots of orgasms, Brennan.
That sounds like something she would say.
What a horrible thing to be accused of. This gets Spike's attention, at least. Giles is now going to question their presence. Xander said he was summoned there. Giles was meaning for him to come by later. I don't know why this was even put into this, but anyways, that's what's going on. He needs to take Spike now for a couple of days. Turns out his orgasm friend is coming by here. We haven't seen Olivia.
Okay.
We haven't seen Olivia since the first episode of the season. It's been a little while. Xander says he'll need to be tied up again. He's not going to have Spike rolling around his basement now. And he asks, what about her? And then Spike says he has no interest being there when they shag. A lot of shag talk here in the first, 10 minutes of this episode. Giles is to ignore all the queen. He does his best to, and he's a little brow furrowing from Giles here. So we're gonna go to the Wicca group now. Willow's trying, but you could tell that she thinks that these Wiccans are a little lame with their bake sales and the newsletters. She suggests a wacky notion of actually doing spells. And good evening to you, Mr. Ryan Christensen, and bonsoir, Monsieur Christensen. Yes, it's gonna pique a new girl's interest, all this spell talk, but most just laugh Willow off. One thinks that certain stereotypes aren't empowering at all, and then that new girl tries to say something, and then more girls start to chime in on Willow. Then find out that new girl, Tara, she starts to stutter and says that maybe they could, but the one girl who was leading things cuts her off, sarcastically asks everyone for quiet so they can hear her question. And Tara just starts smiling nervously and shakes her head. You can tell she has a stutter and stuff like that too.
Yes.
Willow kind of gives her a pitied look. Did you notice that? She felt bad for Tara here. Anyways, of course, this character is Tara McKay, played by Amber Benson.
Yep.
She was probably, to this point, best known as like Alicia Silverstone's best friend in The Crush.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Then she'd go on to do, never anything major, but she'd have a bunch of smaller roles. She becomes a writer and a director herself. I would say, for fans of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, notably, she was a writer and director behind Slayers, the Buffyverse story, that Audible
Ah,
series that came out in 2023. And they brought a bunch of the original
yes.
cast back, and in an alternate universe, I guess, where Cordelia was the Slayer. Uh, highly suggest checking it out. They only did the one season though, which is too bad. Anyways, back to the show. Willow's now telling Buffy. Willow's
Buffy.
tell,
Okay.
so Willow's telling Buffy that this group is all talk and that she needs to have something real here. Uh, I do love the Wanna Blessed Bees line that she gives. She wants to move on to bigger things with magic. Buffy tells her that she and Riley have been all talk so far too. Willow's a little annoyed with seeing how she wants her vicarious smoochies. Brennan? Yeah,
Yeah, vicarious.
yeah. These people are in university now. You'd think they'd get over the word smoochies. Buffy tells her that she wishes she could come clean to him about who she is. At the same time, you see Riley, and they do a lot of this on this show, that's saying the same thing to Forrest, who reminds him that's the burden they got to bear, as members of the initiative here, and that they have to Clark Kent their way through the dating pool, which is also a pretty good line. Make sure to feature the voice recognition here when they get into the elevator, just in case anybody forgot. It's a two step system. Eyes from the mirror, and the voice actually in the elevator, guys. So we cut over to Xander's place. He has Spike tied up for the night now. They argue over whether Spike would bite him or not. This also happens in the next episode, something to keep up. Xander thinks he's both moist and delicious. Like I don't know if you have McCain cakes in America, but I think that's actually the name of one of their cakes, moist and delicious. Ryan, if he's still here, could back me up on that. Anyways, Spike pretends to be Anya as Xander tries to fall asleep, which was also good.
Oh, yes.
Yes, lots of these Spike and Xander scenes are great. Giles is now puzzled over the taking of the Seven. He doesn't get it. You know what's also puzzling? That he doesn't go, even though he owns a car. The Giles Mobile has been featured many times.
Yes.
He does not go to pick up his lady friend from the airport. Even
For
though it's
shame. For shame.
you know what that's called? The least she can do. She just flew all the way from London, had to endure a baseball movie of all
Ooh.
things, man. There's some good baseball movies. No, I wouldn't say
Yeah,
no to a
Major League. I don't
yeah,
know.
I wouldn't say no to a Bull Durham.
Yeah, or Field of Dreams. I mean,
Field of
good stuff.
Dreams, of course, of course. Anyways,
Ah, and our buddy Ryan is in the chat. Hello, Ryan.
now some I don't. Giles must be quite a catch because Olivia actually apologizes to him for being late.
Uh-huh.
Way to go, Giles. Anyways, And anyways, they seem fine with all of this arrangement as they start making out after she says,
Yeah, they didn't
"That's
waste any time.
no. He's been busy on that air, and she's traveling the world. Not an easy flight from England to California, I'm imagining. And I don't know, she'd have to go to LA and then back up. Anyways, doesn't matter.
It's complicated.
Yes.
My sister had to do that for school.
Oof. I flew to England from Peg and that was enough. Now, she says that's enough small talk, don't you think? And that is the last line that a character is going to speak for quite some time here in this
Ooh.
episode. We'll get a little bit from the television and the elevator, but nothing that an actual character on the show says. No one who resides in Sunnydale.
Hmm.
Now, we're going to see a creepy clock tower or a belfry. Maybe it's called a belfry, this thing.
Mm.
And inside, we're going to see creepy pair of hands opening up that box that that little girl was holding. So I guess it is going to be meaningful after all. Anyways, they open it up. There's this magical mist that starts coming out of people's mouths here. All the sleepy citizens of Sunnydale, including the Scoobies and Buffy, which isn't great. And then all these mists return to the box. It gets closed, and we see a pleased, creepy dude with metal teeth.
Eesh.
But he had a smile on his face. Maybe they're happy, a bunch of happy folks. We'll
I don't
find out.
know. The
We'll
gentlemen are some of the creepiest creatures in this show.
100%. I'll get more into one of them in a second here. Now, the next day starts as any other. Buffy heads back from brushing her teeth. She's going to notice a girl crying on her way back to the room.
Mm.
Now, Willow wakes up. They try to speak, but there's no sound. And I guess technically, when they did all the scenes here for Hush, they actually had the actor speak and then just muted out, which I think works way better than if you just pretend that you're saying the words and stuff like that to actually say it and then having
Okay.
the thing. Like, I
Yeah.
think that works way better. Also, Christoph Beck, the work he does, and
Yes.
it absolutely shines. The score for Hush is absolutely incredible. You could tell he was going to go on to big things. It was a huge coup that they had Christoph Beck to have
And
in the
also a
show.
great use of the dance macabre.
I was going to mention that when we for sure. Now, Willow thinks she's gone deaf, which is I think that's actually one of the smarter things you could think. You didn't think that everyone's voices have just gone. You think you just went deaf, but Buffy's starting to notice now the panic in all the dorms. Xander's gonna wake up. He's gonna blame Spike. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, not it may be the first time Spike get blamed for something in this episode. Won't be the last time he gets blamed for something in this. He motions to his buddy. He's like, what do you want me to do? He gives him the two fingers thing. Of course, this is like an English version of just giving the one finger. For some reason, give you two. And I think I figured out like why they gave. You ever see people do this in England? Do that kind of thing? I guess it goes back to archery times, and that's like the English taunting the French. They're archers going like this. They're bow fingers. I guess that's what
Mm.
it goes back to. Anyways, Xander calls Buffy. Obviously, he can't talk. Spike looks at him like he's like an idiot, which not far off. At the initiative house now, the retinal scan's gonna work. So they go into the elevator, but of course, as for the voice recognition, nothing's gonna happen. And then all of a sudden, no voice, no, this is an intruder. Here comes the countermeasures. There's smoke that's gonna start billowing in, and then the door opens, and there you see Professor Walsh looking at them like pointing at them, saying, "In case of emergency, use the staircase."
Yeah.
But like, wouldn't the smoke do anything? Like, they're not coughing anything. Whatever. Anyways, we get to see Tara now. She sees a bunch of people in the common area comforting each other. A lot of people just standing. These will have, like, unless they've been awake since this happened, this has got to be relatively fresh to them. How are these people so upset over having lost their voice for what, an hour? Like
Mm-hmm.
2 hours? Like the people just standing there in silence by themselves, people weeping. The person drops a bottle for whatever reason. Like he's so upset that he doesn't have his voice right now. He drops a bottle. Sometimes I think everybody losing their voice for a few hours would be a huge relief. If you ask me, you know what I mean. Anyways, I know. Now you get to see more people on the street as Willow and Buffy start walking around. People sitting in the middle of the road. Okay, guys, come on. A group of people are silent, with a silence of Revelations 15:1. No, I can't remember exactly, but I know it's about seven plagues or something like that. If I remember right about Revelations 15:1.
I believe so.
Then we see a young entrepreneur selling message boards on the corner of the street, $10 each. Willow and Buffy each give him a disgusted look. How could he try and prod him like this? Anyways, they go over to Giles's place. They're each wearing a sign with them, stuff like that. They get in the door. Xander, super excited to see them. He jumps up, rounds the couch. Buffy waves, and he just gives an awkward wave after. Well, why was he so excited just to go? Whatever. Oh, we got a David Chamberlain.
It's the simple things in life.
I suppose so. She did an experiment for her psychology class in high school where they didn't speak for 3 days, and communicating without a voice was very difficult. This episode always reminds me of, yep, I guess it would take, after 3 days and stuff like that, sure. But after 3 hours, 3 hours would probably be the easiest part. These guys are pretty fragile when it comes to communicating with each other. Anyways, Giles welcomes Buffy in warmly. And then Willow, she says hi, Giles, on the thing. He gives her a big hug. Everybody's happy to see each other. He hasn't found out anything about the gentleman. The sound's not broken by a news report. I guess LA, somewhere like that, saying that Sunnydale is quarantined with laryngitis. I got a mass outbreak of laryngitis in Sunnydale. The authorities are blaming recent flu vaccinations. Others are saying it's a hoax. It'll remind you of things that'll come in about 25 years from then, or 20 years or so. Now, we see Olivia day drinking. She isn't as handling it as well as maybe the others. Buffy writes for Giles to stay researching. She's going to go patrol in town. Then we go back. We have Professor Walsh now typing on the computer. The computer voice, Brennan, is the exact same for Radiohead's Fitter Happier.
Yes.
It was the first thing they recorded off of OK Computer and stuff like that. Fitter Happier, more productive. Yeah, so whenever I hear that computer voice, it just brings me back to OK Computer. So it's a good thing. Anyways, she said there's going to be chaos in town, so, got to get the troops in there. But to dress in their civvies, because they don't want the people to go nuts, they need to keep order. Now, that loss of a voice somehow has caused someone to crash their car into a fire hydrant, leave it, and no one's turned the water off. The water screwed out of this thing. You'd figure the fire department they have at least one guy there to take care of this. You would imagine that entire, civic, workforce isn't gonna kaputs after this. I hope you'd have somebody in charge, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, Buffy's walking the street. We see folks just ambling by. She sees Riley breaking up a fight. And then one of the guys is going to go and hit him with a pipe. So she breaks his wrist. She breaks the man's wrist. Now, that would be the worst. Get your wrist broken. Wouldn't even be able to scream about it. Ugh. Anyways, she hugs Riley. They ask each other if they're okay. Well, they motion at each other. They're okay. Then they hear a noise. Each turn to leave separately. But Riley's gonna grab her, and they actually do finally have their first kiss in silence in the middle of town. And how romantic! What do you think?
Yeah, fairly, I suppose.
It's better than her first kiss with Parker, I can tell you that. So,
Yeah.
and now the gentlemen are gonna start floating out. About their quick with them or whatever. Quickly about them. To the first two. First, of course, Camden Toy. We covered him. He unfortunately passed away in 2023. I think when we were just first starting this show, he had pancreatic cancer. portray a couple of other baddies on the show, and I said, these guys, you thought these guys are the spookiest. Well, one of these guys that he'll portray is like the Uber Vamp. We'll get into that, but he also portrayed the one I think is the creepiest monster they ever did in Gnarl, the skin eating, the
Oh
worst.
yeah. Yeah.
The other, of course, the taller of the two, Doug Jones, who's
Yes.
going to become a legend I guess, a legend without a face almost. He doesn't have too many roles, or at least not his most famous, where you actually can see what he looks like. Let's see what roles like. He was Abe in Hellboy, the Beast Man, of course, in Shape of Water, Fano and Pan's Labyrinth, and of course, I don't know if you ever watched What We Do in the Shadows. It's one of my favorite shows they've done that's been out in the last 10 years. And he was, of course, the Baron Honest, I believe, in What We Do in the Shadows. So good.
And of
So,
course, Mr. Saru on Star Trek Discovery.
yes, of course. Now, these guys are picked, and mostly because they were also fantastic mimes. So they had to express, fear and all these other things. They also needed to project elegance while they did it. The only real notes that they got is they had to do a lot of stuff with their hands. You'll notice their hands doing stuff all the time.
Yes. Oh yes.
They were told when they were putting together what they wanted the characters to be like. So they said Nosferatu,
Yes.
Pinhead from Hellraiser,
Yes.
and Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting combination.
Well, you see them do like stuff like this. It's like, yeah. Now
Excellent.
I can't not see it now. That's all I see is just a floating Mr. Burns out there. It's like when he had that glow stuff or whatever in Good Morning Starshine.
Yeah.
Anyways, now the footmen are also great. Those guys in the untied straight jackets that run around, basically the gentleman's muscle. Now,
They're the putties from Power Rangers.
oh, you know what? I've never seen the Power Rangers,
Okay. Well.
but they have footmen like that too.
They kind of move like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they were supposed to be like what are the means or whatever from the insane asylum in Dracula. That's what it's supposed to remind them of. Anyways, yes, and the gentlemen are supposed to remain like eerie and have like those Victorian suits on. So we're gonna see 6 gentlemen float through the town. They have their only 4 of the footmen you see at a time. Olivia's going to be the first one to notice them. She sees one on a across the road from houses, and then you see another one smile as it passes by the window.
Very creepy.
Incredibly creepy. They're going to leave her alone, though. Usually, if you see one of these things, you're going to be in big trouble, but they leave Olivia alone. And now, we get to see a couple of gentlemen in the campus dorms start shaking off rooms. They pass by and, the whole finger wag stuff. They move past the Willow and Buffy's room as they're sound asleep, even though Buffy was supposed to be out patrolling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you go to sleep, you go to sleep.
I guess you're right. You can't really go sleep in the day when you're a university student. Now, they settle on room number 118. They knock politely, mind you. Why would this kid go answer the door, though? It's in the middle of the night. He goes to answer the door. Nothing at first. Then you see the gentleman there, and then here comes the footman. They grab him, wrestle him down to the bed. Now, we get to see the gentleman come in. One grabs a scalpel, politely passes it to the other, and then you hear an incredibly gross sound as the scalpel does its job. Now, and as the scene. See them come back with the hearts in a jar. What a present to take. Nobody's was
Well,
too hard.
I've seen organs in jars, but never a heart.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Now he puts it down with a couple of others that are there. They're back at the belfry. Then they all start applauding him. He starts acting like it was nothing. So good. Buff. Now, Buffy's gonna go to the crime scene. I guess
Of course she is.
the follow. We are used to Buffy going to the crime scene. We see a security guard trying to keep a couple students away.
I guess she just sneaks in behind him.
She does. It's not too difficult. They didn't close the door. Not only did they not close the door, they just had the kid just lying there, his mutilated body displayed for all his friends, classmates. Uncool. I'm gonna say it right now. Not great.
Rather disgusting.
Yeah, Olivia, we're gonna see her. She draws a sketch of what she saw. A much better drawer than Giles is, and that will be confirmed in a little
Yes.
bit. Giles is gonna grab the paper. I wanted to give him like the show crap again because they already have something about the murder or whatever. They used to do this in the first season a lot, where a murder will happen at night and it'll be in the paper the next morning. But this one is about a different
their newsroom seems to work very fast.
one, very quickly for such a a 2 Starbucks town. This one is about a 15-year-old girl though. Her heart went missing. Now he begins to put things together. Grabs his book of fairy tales. We haven't done that in a little while.
Ooh, yes.
We then get the famous classroom scene here at the university. Always an empty classroom when you need one on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but at least this time they have a good reason. Nobody's going to class. Nobody's doing anything right now. No one's even turning out the fire hydrants for God's sake. So we have the Scoobies assembled, and Giles is going to inform them all on what's happening with an overhead projector. Of course, that's going to bring me back to when I was in school, barely paying attention. I think these guys paid more attention than I ever did in class. So this is when he actually plays the tape with Dance Macabre on it. Camille Saint-Saëns.
Yes, one of my favorite pieces.
That first violin piece. Oh, you know what? They're already going to be creeped out a little bit. Why don't you play something a little happier? Maybe like a jaunty 60s pop tune, or like Sunshine, Lollipops, and Rainbows would be a nicer one to get. And that's anyways. For gentlemen, we're all fairy tale monsters, and what they want and how they're going to go about doing it. Xander, with the obvious, how we're supposed to kill these guys. This is when Buffy gives a rather graphic depiction for staking them several times quickly.
Yes.
It can in no way be construed with doing anything else. You know what I mean? Anyways, Giles shows them that in the tales now, it took a princess's scream. And, CD isn't going to do it no matter what Willow thinks. It has to be a real voice. No idea how to get that voice back, though. They're a little stumped. And Giles is going to show drawing of Buffy. She reads that she's going to patrol again tonight. She was also holding a bow and an arrow in either hand. When Buffy goes like this about the hips, that was an improv by Sarah Michelle Gellar. Also, that drawing, like Buffy will patrol tonight drawing, one of the more popular tattoos for people who get tattooed with Buffy stuff for some reason.
Yes.
I think it's rather easy to draw, which should make it so popular. That's just what I'm guessing. Never gotten a tattoo. Never wanted a tattoo, Brennan. Never got a tattoo.
Neither have I.
I saw a TV show up here in Canada called Versus Spenny, and the guy said you had to get a tattoo or else you lose this bet. He got a tattoo of I think that's a good thought. If I ever got a tattoo, that's what I do. If I had to get one, I'll just get a freckle put on me. Anyways, Giles points at everyone else, go help him research. Buffy's going to go do her thing. See, the initiative's now on the move against these guys, too. Uh, Riley, I guess they're both kind of patrolling the area, but it's all leading up to the belfry. And Riley's going to notice shadows moving around the top there. Tara has found which room Willow's in. We're going to find out why in a little bit. She heads over there, but trips, of course. She's a little clumsy. And then it's discovered by the two lead gentlemen here, which isn't great, and their footmen. And what makes these guys, well, not even just their look and stuff like that. It's just they have the Jason Voorhees thing of inevitability. It's like these guys don't need to run; they're going to go their speed to get them. Oh, it's always the worst. Anyways, she's going to run into the dorm. They're close behind. Buffy's going to notice a gentleman now for the first time floating near her house. She's going to get attacked by footmen now. Tara starts banging on doors inside the dorm. Nobody's answering. They got the hint from the night before. Don't answer the door when it comes to these gentlemen who are hanging around. The monsters are closing in now. A second footman is going to come attack Buffy. She's going to beat one down, and then another's going to jump. Tara's going to start running upstairs at the dorms now. She continues knocking on doors. You see Willow waking up. See a door open. It's going to be Willow? No. It's going to be a gentleman. Holding another heart. Oh, that university was in a bad spot. A bad spot.
Yep.
Anyways, the other two starting to float closer now. Willow's going to open her door. Tara knocks her down. Just runs right into her, for God's sakes. They get up. Willow has a noticeable limp after this. I don't know how she hurt her leg so hard, but she did. They're going to move on. Riley's going to start fighting a henchman. The others are going to join in now. It's a third rise, but over at the belfry, finally, here comes Buffy, and they're each going to start taking care of business here. Then turn their weapons at each other, and finally notice who they're going to aim at. Oh boy, this is going to. I think this might lead to something, if you know what I mean. But first, there's more fighting. Riley's little zapper gun. It's going to work. It only works, it seems, intermittently. But we see Buffy kicking ass. Then does a Tarzan-style swinging super kick that knocks this guy flying, breaks one of the beams. Riley's a little astonished by this. Little tiny Buffy being pretty strong. We see now Giles and Spike hanging out at his apartment in one of my favorite scenes of the show. Spike is going to go grab a cuppa of blood from the fridge. Gets Vamp faced. Anya had been passed out on the couch, just sleeping away here. He's going to sit down in front of her. He knocks over some books or something like that. He goes to pick it up. Xander comes in. He's going to look over and see vamp-faced Spike. Bit of blood near his mouth, and his seemingly unconscious girlfriend. He's going to put 2 and 2 together. He's going to make 5 and start absolutely pummeling Spike. Anya's going to wake up. Sees him beating on Spike. She says that he's fine. Spike's like, look, she's fine. Xander, absolutely relieved, kisses her. She got her act of caring from him now. She's very, very happy. Xander gives a half-hearted gesture of apology to Spike. Olivia and Giles are looking on very fondly, almost proudly, And then we see then we see Anya give him let's say a universal gesture for something else.
Yes.
And then they leave. No one seems fond anymore after that. The fondness gone. So back to the university. We're going to see Tara helping Willow down the stairs. They're going to get to the cafeteria, attempt to push the soda machine in front of the door. Fast fact: that's the same soda machine from the high school. They're going to use it here at the in the university set. The same one.
Interesting.
Yeah, she asked for root beer. It gives her Coke, whatever it was. There you go. And now we see they try to push the thing. Willow's leg gives out. It's too sore to do this stuff. She's going to try and use some magic on it here, but just remember, Willow has trouble moving anything bigger than a pencil. But it's starting to move a little bit. Tara's looking on at her here now. She's going to hold Willow's hand, which is, they haven't even had a real conversation yet, and they're getting pretty close. And she holds it tight. You see the machine whip into place. It goes incredibly fast into place now. Back to the belfry. Buffy and Riley still holding their own against these henchmen of the footmen or whatever they want to be called. One runs upstairs to where the clock gears are. Buffy's going to follow him. Sees all the heart jars, which isn't a great thing or whatever, you know what I mean? Heart jars. Jars for jelly beans. That's what I've always said. Now, somehow, in this place, there's 5 gentlemen. So, we saw 6 in the beginning. We know that there was 2 over at the campus, even though those were the 2 head guys. There's 5 there, so that should mean 7, except 2 of the ones that were supposed to be over at the campus, actually 3 over at the campus. 2 of them were supposed to be the leader and the other guy, and they seem to be there. So I'm not sure how well this worked. I guess you just say maybe there was time lapse in between the 2. You just take it for what it is. All right, it's fine. So we see a scalpel get grabbed. Then Riley starts zapping away with people with his little laser. Buffy's going to break free from the henchmen that were holding her down. And she and Riley are going to start fighting again. More fighting these henchmen. At least you get a lot of fighting in this episode for something that didn't have much. If you're not going to have people talking, you might as well have people fighting. I'm pretty sure that's in a book somewhere. That'll be a pretty good one. Anyways, Buffy's going to take a scalpel to the back here. Which isn't great. Then notices the wooden box, gestures to Riley, who somehow had nothing to do, and no gentleman stopping him as he goes over to this table. See him bring the butt of the gun up, and it's going to end everything. He breaks the vial and looks up pretty proud of himself that he did it. Buffy says, come on. No, not that one. Anyways, then he goes, the box, smashes that one. You see the mist start flying out everywhere. Voices are coming back to people. Buffy screams. Now, we know Sarah Michelle Gellar is a scream queen, I think they call it, because she does a lot of horror movies and stuff like that. They had to use somebody else for the scream in this one, which I thought was too bad. It was like, why don't you just let her do the scream? Anyways, the gentlemen's heads explode. This green goo. You see the henchmen kind of just shaking. I didn't know if they died or anything like that. And they don't mention anything. You don't ever see any of their heads explode. You just see them kind of shaking around. Anyways, Tara and Willow start talking after this is all done. Tara's hoping to do a spell with Willow to give people their voices back. She was thinking ahead. I don't know how they were going to do the spell if they didn't have any voices, but whatever. She saw how Willow was different from the others in the group and starts laughing that all the other Wiccans would actually be scared of witches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Willow asks how long she's been practicing. Tara says always. Her mom was a powerful witch and stuff like that. Just like Willow. Willow doesn't think she's anything special. Tara disagrees. They have a nice little smile there. Oh, look how friendly these 2 are. Anyways, Giles and Olivia are now talking. She thought that Giles was always just being pretentious when talking about demons. He said he was, and that he was right, though. It doesn't mean he wasn't right when he was talking about demons. But he also wasn't a founding member of Pink Floyd. Which, I don't know why he would say Pink Floyd, but especially when you saw him in that band and he had like it was just Sid Vicious or whatever with Anthony Stewart's heads.
Yeah.
He's put on it and stuff like that isn't a very Pink, like the last thing would have Anyways, he asks if that's too scary for her. She says she doesn't know. And he's like, okay. Here's another fun fact: we never see Olivia again. So I guess we can say maybe it is a little scary for a. He gets mentioned a couple times, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, finally, we see Riley and Buffy in her dorm room. They sit down. He says that they need to talk. She agrees, and then they sit in silence for 20 seconds while the episode ends. Maybe the most famous episode of Buffy, and a heck of a lot of fun to talk about. But first off, we'll say about next time. Next time, it's a secret exposed on Buffy. Spike is going to discover something as well. And, a good old-fashioned apocalypse. Bren, we haven't had one of those for a while. Doomed is the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me, buddy.
Thank you.
Now, before we go, how would you let everyone know what you're going to be up to on the old internet?
You can find me on Blue Sky, renmar.bluesky.social. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube at Page Turners They Were Not.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Brennan. Now, as for me, I'm going to be reading the next edition of Rewatchers Council, the Angel Edition. That comes out Fridays, 5 o'clock Central Time. I believe that's 7:30 in Newfoundland, as you all know. 3 o'clock Eastern. We're going to talk about, what's been happening over good old Los Angeles, so far away from all of this. We're going to maybe have somebody new show up over on Angel this week. We'll find out about that. Now, this Saturday, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern. She's saying. Didn't I say 3 o'clock Pacific? Who knows?
Yeah, you were wrong, but it's okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's not the first time. Certainly. You know what? It might be the last time I'm wrong. What am I? Who am I to say? Now, also, LGRN After Snark this weekend. Danny and I are going to be talking about Superman, the expectations, the new Superman movie. Said it many times. Superman the movie, my favorite superhero movie of all time. Nothing even comes close. So, we're going to talk about the expectations for the new Superman. That should be a lot of fun. Playoff Beers is coming back next week to wrap up the Stanley Cup Finals. Talk about some news that's going on with that. Ryan Christensen, who was here earlier, will be joining with that. I believe that's going to be happening Tuesday on the Good Friends Bread or Rivals edition of the Let's Get Ready Network. Now, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed reliving Hush with us. As they say, in Sunnydale, California, when the voices are gone. Hope everyone has a good night. I don't know. What do you want from me? Good night, everybody, and we will talk to you. Get it? Talk to you next time.